Greetings everyone, welcome aboard. Happy Friday, August 27th, 2010. Here's your live trading recap. My name is Joseph James, brought to you by schooltrade.com. Before we take a look at the trades we took today, guys, had a really, of course, surprisingly well day today in the room. A summertime Friday. We didn't have too high expectations for today, but we really came through in a pinch at the end of the morning this morning. Before we talk about those trades, though, I want to remind you guys, if you're on the blog right now, make sure you guys check out the Trade Room Resources. We just added a brand new section of the blog. It's called Trade Room Resources, and you'll see all kinds of great videos, articles, trade calls, right? Everything's there, Trade Room Resources on the blog. All right, let's keep moving. Let's see how we're doing here. 2, 4, 6, 8 total trades. Now you'll see right in the middle of the morning here at 10:15, I was trying to get into this thing on the crude above the previous low a day. Took 3 swings at it. The first 2 trades were scratches. The third one, though, was the big winner. Everything pretty much on crude. We started off in the Russell today. We took 14 ticks out of the Russell and, of course, 125 ticks out of the crude. 138 ticks total, guys. That brings our weekly total here, 7230 for the week. Monthly, 24,500 for the month. And now over 130,000, everybody, for the total for 2010. So we started the Russell, and then we finished up on crude. What's the most important that happened today? Well, we had a great Friday. It was a good Friday. A little bit sluggish at the open. We were a little bit concerned at about 9:30 that we may have a real slow day in our hands. But then we knew 10 o'clock brought Big Ben Bernanke speaking. And when he spoke, after the 9:55 consumer sentiment, at 10 o'clock the market began to drop. Market began running all over the place at 10 o'clock, and that's when we made all of our money today. Okay, crude and Russell were the movers, and of course our first trade of the day was on the Russell. Now here's what we saw on the Russell, and of course you check this out on the Russell, I think you can probably see why we were looking where we were. Here on the Russell we have the first, on the left side of your screen is going to be your slower time frame. All right, so here's my slow time frame. My 34 range chart, great job at finding the highs and the lows of this trading range. So we defined the highs, we had a little bit of some slop up top, we had a little bit of some slop down bottom, but for the most part, we are contained inside of this sideways range. Now, whenever we define the sideways range, we're going to, of course, what? We're going to buy the lows. We're going to sell the highs, right, of that sideways range. And that's exactly what we did here for the first trade on the Russell. So, of course, 600 was the low. We've been watching that 600 now for weeks now, and we saw price come down in. We tested those lows, and we bought the lows. Follow me over to the right now. Here's my 4 range chart, and you can see exactly what happened. We came down, we tested the low of day, right? There's the low of day. We knew, of course, here was that 600 area. Again, we wanted to buy those lows. We mark up our swing low, our swing high. We buy the break above that swing high, and there's your 2-step pattern reversal. Okay, so as price comes down, it chops around the lows. We then bounce up. We mark up our swing high. We break above that swing high, right? That's your reversal off those lows. You can see it didn't last very long, right? Ended up coming back down and tumbling back down again. But at least we grabbed our +5 target, right? 2 off at 5 is 10. 2 off at 2 is 4. 10 plus 4 is 14. 140 USD. All right, guys, so buying those lows, again, understanding to define the sideways range on my 34 range chart, and then use my 4 range or my 8 range or my 13 range, right? Or my 21 range or my 30 minute, right? Or my 10 minute or my 3 minute. It doesn't matter what time frame I'm using. All right, guys, I know at 600 I want to be a buyer, and that's exactly what we took that trade. So the first trade of the day, not a bad trade at all. Nice winner there to get us off on the right start for the Russell. Now that was all we took today in the Russell because the crude market kept us busy, right after 10 o'clock. Now here's what we saw here on crude. Once again, almost the same situation as the Russell. Left side of your screen, here's my slower time frame. What do we see in the left side? We see a sideways range, right? Sideways range right there. And of course, with a sideways range, what are we going to do? You guessed it. We're going to buy the lows at 69. We're going to sell below 54, right? Sell below 54, right? Buy these lows, sell the highs. Same thing at the top. Sell the highs, buy the breakout above. All right, so the level here right around 72.60, right? That was kind of that pivot area where below 60s were sellers, right? It's actually 54. 72.54, right, is the level. So once we broke below 54s, that's what got this day started. Now follow me over here on the right because the day began looking very, very difficult. first things first, look at this price action, right? 1 or 2 ticks down, 3 or 4 ticks back up, right? You cannot make any money with a market looking like this, right? Very, very difficult. So that was here at 9:30. Also look down bottom, you can see momentum. Momentum was flat, right? We never see flat momentum. So at 9:30 this morning, there was clearly, right, a lot of concern about where the market was going from here. But those concerns quickly dropped because once 10 o'clock came, we then had a bunch of action on the crude. Now we took a number of trades here short, and then we reversed our position and started buying these lows. So at 10 o'clock, the market begins to drop on Bernanke's comments. Okay, market begins to drop. Here's my 4 range chart. And you guys remember, what were we looking at before? It was, right, 60s, wasn't it? 60s. So we want to be selling here below 60s, right? There's my 60s right there. All right, so what we do is, once 10 o'clock comes, we're going to break below the 60s. Remember, we know below 60s, we're going to be sellers. We get momentum pointing down, and we took 3 trades here. Now, the first trade was a small winner, 14 ticks. Second trade was a much larger winner, 24 ticks.